What is up, guys? Welcome back to yet another brand new Major Ben gaming video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day as always. Today I'm talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, and from what I see on Twitter or X now, I see a lot of people talking about this CPU bottleneck of the PlayStation 5 or PS5 Pro, the fact that it's obviously the PS5 Pro is using the exact same CPU as the base PS5, and I see a lot of people, and I'm going to bring up the tweets here from this guy, the gamer guy, actually big supporter of the channel, but we have a disagreement on this whole aspect of stuff, which is absolutely fine. A lot of respect to him, but just using this as an example of what I see. And if we go on this tweet, it's talking about 75% of players prefer performance mode according to Sony's own metrics, yet the CPU will likely keep many games from 60 FPS. Anyone see an issue with this? I actually quote tweeted it. It just said 5 CPU limited games this gen and 1 Dragon's Dogma is running at 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro, and this was actually shown in the showcase confirmed by Digital Foundry to be running at 60 FPS. I then went on to put in a follow-up tweet. I'm not going to go through the whole list of stuff because he's going to watch this video probably anyway, but to clarify, there are 5 games this generation with no 60 FPS mode, right? Dragon's Dogma 2, which we know now is going to be 60 FPS on PS5 Pro. This was CPU bottlenecked, confirmed by Digital Foundry, so obviously alleviating something with whatever they're doing here is allowing this game to go to 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro, even though there's no CPU enhancement that they've talked about. Unless there is a 10% clock that's actually boosting this thing, we need to wait and find out. But in the end of the day, who cares? It's running at 60 FPS. What difference does it make? Gotham Knights, okay, this is a game that absolutely should be 60 frames on the consoles, right? This is a ridiculously badly optimized game. It's bad on PC. My 4090 that I had did not run this game at 60 frames at 4K native, okay? It didn't. It could not do it. I had 12900K. This is badly optimized. So that's not even a CPU limited game. It's just a game that's badly optimized. Industria, now I hadn't heard much about this one, but I looked it up. It's incredibly low budget, and it's something that I just can see that they haven't done optimizations. It's one of those lower budget games. Have a look for yourself. You knew what I mean. You'll see what I mean. And these last two, which are like story games, you'll know The Quarry and The Casting of Frank Stone. And there is nothing like special going on CPU wise in this game. The resolution is very high, and they are a very much cinematic. Like, they've even got the letterboxing going on, a bit like how they had that in what's the game on Xbox, the exclusive this year? You guys know what I mean. But anyway, the Casting of Frank Stone and The Quarry are very much like very cool looking games, story games. Doesn't really affect anything. I don't think the limitation is here in terms of the CPU. I imagine they've cranked it up to 4K. It looks incredible, and I think it's probably more of a design choice. I don't know. We'll have to see if someone's confirmed that. But at the end of the day, 5 titles, and potentially the only one here is the CPU bottlenecked one, which Digital Foundry talked about. Where is this whole thing of games not being 60 frames on PS5 Pro coming from? It baffles me sometimes, the mental gymnastics that some people go through over just wanting to destroy or be annoyed at a product that's better than the hardware they have. Like, it's very, very strange to me. At the end of the day, this console is designed for the very, very niche market of people who want upgraded quality. Myself, who has an OLED, a 4K 120Hz TV, and I'm not a PC guy. I've said this in the past. You can check my videos, but I want better quality out of my games, and that's games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth that looks very hazy and not great quality. And we've already had confirmation from John Linneman at Digital Foundry about the quality improvements of that game. It's already at 60 FPS. All of the titles on PS5, bar these 5, are already at 60 FPS, or okay, they're trying to hit 60 FPS, like obviously stuff like Black Myth Wukong, that's a GPU bottlenecked game, by the way, and is very wavery in the 60 FPS mode, right? But again, that's going to be fixed because it's a GPU bottleneck, not a CPU bottleneck. So, and that's an Unreal Engine 5 game, like many titles we've had. I understand from what Gamer Guy was saying in the tweets that things are going to get more demanding, but in the end of the day, developers are very aware of this, people liking 60 frame modes. I don't think we've seen anything, for example, in Black Myth Wukong, that developers are going to specifically design a game to bottleneck a console in that way. like, again, if you haven't played Black Myth Wukong, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. But when you go into the final chapter and you can literally fly at very fast pace around an open world in that game, an Unreal Engine 5 game, and it's going to be 60 FPS on the PlayStation 5 Pro or whatever, because it's already at that on the base model, especially if you have VRR. Yes, it does dip on the base model, but if you've got a VRR display, you're not going to really notice it that much. But again, PS5 Pro is going to enhance that with the GPU, which is the bottleneck. There's not really going to be much to come out in this generation that's going to bottleneck the CPUs in this thing, in my opinion. I don't think so. Yes, there's going to be titles a bit like Casting of Frankstone and The Quarry that may be limited to 30 FPS, or badly optimized games like Gotham Knights that come out that are limited to 30 FPS. But again, is that really like taking away everything from the PS5 Pro? Does that make this thing bad? Because all I see on Twitter or X from the PC community, by the way, the people that aren't even going to be buying this thing because they say it's bad value, or they are just not interested in consoles, which is absolutely fine. That community of people are not the market that are going to buy this thing anyway. So of course they're not going to like this thing, because they're not the market audience for this thing. The market audience is people who have a big PS5 library, who want better looking games, because that's the big complaint I've seen this generation, is the 60 FPS mode in every game looks very hazy, and that is going to be fixed from this device. So in my opinion, we've got 5 games that are running at 30 FPS. That means probably these 5 games are going to be patched, apart from Dragon's Dogma, which already is confirmed. There's going to be 4 games at launch running at 30 out of the many titles on the PlayStation 5. And again, the 4 games that are left are either design choices like the Casting of Frankstone and The Quarry, and then Gotham Knights, which is we all know is a disaster of a game, and Industria, right, which is a low budget game. So we will see when we get more titles coming out over the next 4 years. We'll have to wait and see if this thing's going to really struggle to run games at 60 FPS. If, for me, who's actually buying this system rather than the people that comment on the system all the time, I'm not going to be disappointed that much if there is a few games coming out of 30 FPS. For me personally, I know this thing is not designed to push the frame rates further than what we have now. It's obviously doing that in GPU bottlenecked games, and I understand they haven't upgraded the CPU, whatever. I get it, but at the same time, people are already complaining about the price of this thing. Did you really expect them to increase the CPU as well, but keep this price tag that they're already struggling to hit with this thing? So I don't know. I think people just need to keep expectations in check. And as I said, people who are spending like $700 on a PC also are going to be either picking a better GPU or a better CPU. Yes, if you go with a better CPU, you're probably going to be able to lower all your settings, but a lot of people who do PC builds will try and hit the performance of this thing by putting a 6800 XT in their PC, and will probably reduce the CPU because their budget's going to be going towards that. Like if we go to like Amazon UK, right, and we type in I think we've done a 7800, for example, because a lot of people actually compare this device with a 7800. That you can see it's £479 right there. If we do a 6800, you're probably going to save quite a lot. We can get one here for $345. But again, like, you're talking a lot of your money out of your budget already just on the GPU, and then you've got to go out and get RAM. You've got to get, this is the thing, no one ever talks about this, the case for the PC, the fans, the RAM, right? People don't include that. The cooling for your actual CPU. Like, there's so many factors to building a PC, and I think the people who actually are in the PC space think, oh yeah, we're just going to build it ourselves. But at the end of the day, nobody who's going from console to PC for the first time is just going out and building a PC, especially people who go online and say, oh yeah, you can go on eBay and buy all these parts secondhand. So you're already building a PC yourself for the first time, which already warrants the nerve of like it not booting for the first time, and then now you're telling me you're using secondhand parts on top of that. I don't think many people are doing that coming from the console space, and it's silly. But anyway, the main thing for this video, I think most games are going to be running at 60 FPS. There's going to be the odd title that comes out that maybe isn't at launch. We're already seeing most games be patched for PS5 Pro. There's already a ton of games at launch that are patched. The one game that's 30 FPS is already now running at 60, Dragon's Dogma 2. As we've said already, that was the main concerning game that I wanted to see, and we've already seen that, which is brilliant news. That's one less game already, by the way. And I'm just confused as to where, like, from some of the communities here, as to where this whole, like, nerve or whatever it is around this thing not doing 60 FPS in every game is coming from. Based on what we already have on the base PS5, it's already doing 60 FPS in all titles bar 5. Like, where is this whole thing coming from that's like, oh yeah, the PS5 Pro isn't going to be doing 60 FPS and it's CPU bottlenecked? I don't really get it, because in the end of the day, the games is what we're doing, we're playing, that's going to be the end result. And if we're getting 60 FPS games, which it looks like we are, because we already are, and these are just going to have better image quality, which was the main complaint and the reason for this device in the first place, I don't know. Again, this shows most games on PS5 are GPU bottlenecked. In the end of the day, I don't see that drastically suddenly changing 4 years into a cycle. I just don't see that happening. We're getting a lot of next-gen titles now. We're getting a lot of UE5 titles. I don't see it suddenly shifting to everything being CPU bottlenecked suddenly. I just don't see that happening. So that's it for this video. I just wanted to talk about it, give my opinion on it from people that you see online talking about this stuff. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe I will, but at the end of the day, you have to base it on what's happening now. We are getting next-gen titles and have been for a while with UE5 stuff, and none of them have 30 FPS only modes, apart from Dragon's Dogma, which is now being patched and is working at 60 FPS. So I get confused as to where all this is coming from, because it's not something we've seen before now. So we will have to wait and see. Anyway, that was it from me. I just wanted to talk about that and just give my 2 cents on it and give my opinions on this stuff. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye for now.